here at CST, Complete Sports Training. I'm here with Coach Walther. Him and I have known each other for a long time. He's been coaching for over 25 years, youth sports, both basketball, football, and baseball. And we started coaching a few years ago in the fall. And so let's tell the audience about what we're doing in the fall with some of these baseball recruits.
In the fall, we've started a fall baseball college prep team. And the idea of this college prep team is to showcase some of these high school juniors and seniors, to give them an idea what it's like to play college ball, to help them with the recruiting process, and to give them a little bit of a college experience, playing against college teams on college fields, against college coaches and players.
So now to be honest, you came up with this idea and reached out to me, and it came out of basically you and I were talking about how horrible fall baseball is.
Yeah, I was trying to find something at the time. My son was going through it, and he wanted to do a little bit more in the fall, and we're trying to find something that he could help keep progressing, from the summer ball into the fall, and there was just really nothing out there. It was just kind of potluck stuff where some random dad just filled in, and there was high school, weekly games going on, but nothing really significant. So we decided to start looking, why couldn't we play some NAIA schools and JUCO schools that are allowed to play us, and start contacting some of the coaches and find out, there was a few other teams doing this as well, and it worked. And then, the funny thing about it is these coaches were excited to play us. It's a win-win for them. We bring players right to them. They don't have to go out and recruit. Our guys get to play right there in front of them against their players. And so it's a great situation.
So I think one of the things that, for me, we've been doing this now, this is our third year. And it's been rewarding because we've taken kids that maybe they think that they have the ability or the desire to play the next level, but they don't know how to go about that. And one of the things that we've talked about before is the parents don't know how to help them either. And there's a lot of ignorance there. And so some of the things that we've kind of experienced over the last few years, we want to set the record straight and kind of talk about those. And, one of the first ones that we had that, you and I have discussed is a lot of parents think that they're going to be playing on some field in the summer or in their high school, and they're going to hit a home run or they're going to hit a triple, and they're going to come off the field and there's going to be some scout there, and then, hey, sign right here. And then they think that after that happens, they're going to sign their paperwork for a full ride scholarship. And so that was one of the top things, is that parents don't realize that for baseball, there's just no money in it.
Yeah, baseball is a different animal as opposed to like football or basketball or things like that. There's no real full ride scholarships for athletics. Now, sometimes kids can get lucky and tack on academic money with that, but for the most part, you're not really getting a full ride. That's a giant myth, and there's so much misinformation out there about the recruiting process. As a parent, to try to sift through all that information and find out what's wrong, what's right, without connections and things like that, it's an overwhelming process. And so what we try to do is help them out with that and kind of steer them and help them come up with a recruiting plan for this and debunk some of those myths out there.
So one of the things that irritates me is we see a lot of stuff. Obviously we live in Southeast Michigan. There's a lot of travel teams, and then there's nationwide, quote unquote, national travel teams, and they promote that this kid got a full ride scholarship here. And if you look at the wording in it, it's very misleading, because if you were to glance at it, you would think that it's a full ride scholarship. But in reality, as we know, for example, D1, how many scholarships are there for a D1 school?
For a D1 school, I believe it's around 11.8, 11.7, something like that. And, and you get a roster of 35, 36 guys. You're not getting, even if you're a lefty pitcher, you'll be lucky to get a half a scholarship and things like that. Like this full ride could be what they add on the academic. If the kid is a 4 point, and they have money academically, it might make it up to close to a full ride or even a full ride, but that's if he's academically there as well.
So I think that the other interesting thing that you pointed me to is that, like, for the NFL, for example, if you look at all the draft picks, the majority come out of Division I programs. Very rarely, like you'll get a Jerry Rice or somebody like that, Steve McNair, somebody that comes out of a smaller school, Division II, III. But baseball's not the same. It's not the same animal. So you've got players that are getting drafted out of high school, out of Division I programs, Division II, III, JUCO, NAIA schools, or out of the independent league. So I think that it's a different, it's not D1 or bust for a lot of these players. And one of the things that we've found is that we have to fight the parents' perception that it's D1 or bust. I want my kid, they want to all post on Twitter or Facebook that their kid's going to Michigan or their kid's going to this D1 school, when if their path is to play professionally, that's not the only route.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the kids have that same mentality because they'll see with the explosion of college baseball on TV nowadays, everybody wants to play for Vanderbilt, and some of the big name schools, and why wouldn't you? But not everybody is there at that level and ready to play that. But you can still find your path through, like the schools you just mentioned, the D3s, the D2s, the NIAs, the JUCOs. You can still find your path to the pros if that's what your ultimate goal is. It's going to come down to some hard work and some effort.
So I think that one of the things another common misconception of the players or the parents, we kind of touched on it, is that the coaches, they will find you. Mm-hmm. That there's every game you go to, hiding in the bushes and the trees is a coach with some binoculars, and as soon as you do something good, he's going to jump down and jump out with his gear and start throwing money your way. It's funny that the parents think that the coaches will find you, and what we've found in the recruiting process is that it's almost the exact opposite. They won't find you. You've got to go seek out where you want to play. So can you expand on some of the things that we've taught our fall ball players to prep themselves and to be proactive, to help have them find the schools they want to go versus the schools that may have interest in them?
Yeah, I mean, back in our day when we were playing travel ball, there wasn't as many travel teams and things like that, and so it was easier to follow that moniker. They'll find you. But nowadays, with the explosion of travel baseball, there's so many teams and so many kids playing it right now that it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. And we teach our kids you've got to go market yourself. We teach them the right emails. We teach them to call coaches. We teach them to sell themselves, just like you would looking for a job interview, to go out there and communicate and contact these coaches and teach them to do it the right way so they get noticed and get start that dialogue going with the coaches.
This episode of Two Average Daves is brought to you by our sponsor, FullCountGloveRelacing.com. Get your glove back in the game. Don't take your glove to a nice kid at a sporting goods store who doesn't know a thing about glove relacing. Have a baseball guy fix your baseball glove. Reach out to Brian Spence, and it's for as little as $20, he will get your glove back in the game. It's full-count-glove-relacing.com. So I think one of the things that we've also experienced is that we've told our parents to actually talk to their players. And what I mean by that is the parent will think, oh yeah, they want to go to this school, this D1 school, for example, or this D2 school. And when you talk to the player, it's not always the same. So what we've seen is trying to get the parent and the player on the same page and finding what's the best fit for the player. Not what the best fit is for the parent or anybody else, but what's the best, not only, to play baseball, but if they have God forbid they have a career-ending injury, do you want to actually go to this school? Do you want to pursue a degree that's offered at this school? Because odds are, let's face it, the odds of these players feeding their families through the game of baseball is very, very small.
Right.
And trying to get them to realize that I think that's some of the battles that we have, just getting the parents to understand and getting their own desires and goals out of the equation and what's truly best for their player.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of these kids just really, they think they have an idea what they want, and that's one of the reasons why we do this fall ball, so they can talk directly with these college coaches, they can talk with the college players, they can see the day-to-day schedule of these college guys. And what's funny is every year we do this, there's a lot of kids that go, okay, yeah, I could do that. That looks good to me. And there's always a one or two kids that look at it and go, you know what? That's a little bit more than I wanted. It's not the travel ball, practice twice a week. It's the 6 days a week, going hard in the weight room, practicing every day, the travel it takes, the missing class and all that. And for some kids, that's just not worth it to them. And they'd rather just go be a student, it's hard for some parents to accept that, and it's sometimes hard for the player to accept that. But like I said, every year we get one or two players that realize maybe this isn't for me.
I always equate it to, they like the idea of playing college baseball versus the reality. Almost like, I want to be a movie star. And then once they make it big, then they have no privacy and they don't realize what the sacrifices you have to make to get to that level. And it's interesting that a lot of these players think that, like you mentioned, I'm just going to go out and practice a couple days a week. And what we found, a lot of the coaches are saying that they spend a lot of time getting these players bigger, faster, and stronger as they come in that first year or even in 2 years, as they mature and to be able to play at that next level. And this is one of the things that is a benefit of this program that we run, is that they get to see that firsthand. And the player, like you mentioned, the players talk to them as well. And having it come from a player versus a coach, sometimes it has more weight to it. So anything that stuck out in your head as far as some of the insights that players or coaches gave from some of the schools that we played?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of these coaches, when they start talking to our players, yeah, you see the ears perk up with the players and things like that. And what I found humorous a little bit is every coach that we've had talk to our players will say exactly the same thing every time, and it's the same thing we're preaching to our players. Things like get in the weight room, get bigger, get stronger. Keep working on your game, keep the academics up. When we've talked individually about a player to these coaches, one of the first things they always ask us is, how are they doing academically? And that's such a huge aspect of that.
What's the grade point average?
Yeah, what's the grade point average? What are they like in the classroom? What are they like as a person? That carries a lot of weight with a lot of these coaches. Probably more so sometimes than your athleticism. Because they don't have time to teach you how to go to class. They don't have time to babysit you with that kind of stuff. They expect you to come in and take care of your business. And, they want to deal with the athletic part of you. So that I found interesting with some of these guys. And, and I think some of the parents were intrigued by that too, and because I know some of the parents are, get on their kids about being, good in school and all that, but you get that jock perception that, you don't have to be great in the classroom. You just got to be good on the field and they'll still want you. But, with the explosion of baseball over the past, how many years, 5 years or so, there's so many kids playing baseball right now that for every kid that's a shortstop, there's another one who's just as good but with better grades, and is a better personality and gets along with his team and is a team player, and those kids are really appealing to these coaches.
So one of the things that surprised me was that the coaches, they know pretty much right away whether they're interested in our players with a couple of swings, a couple of throws, and it always amazes me that they could pick it up and they're looking for all the intangibles. They're not looking for, if they go 3 for 3 against them or they throw a shutout inning or whatever. So can you talk a little bit about some of the maybe the examples of some of the players when maybe didn't go their way and they had actually a rough outing, but yet still got some offers. I'm thinking of a certain 450-foot home run at Cleary. If that rings a bell for you.
Oh yeah. Hey, we've had pitchers who are throwing strikes and everything, but I mean they're high school kids playing against college guys. Sometimes they're playing against the varsity squad rather than the JV squad, and they're looking for those little things because everybody on our team can play. So, but what separates you from everybody else? And they look at those little things. If you give up a home run, do you make the adjustments on the next batter to get the strikeout? Can you throw strikes? The little things like that. And again, all the different positions. If you're batting and you strike out, do you make your adjustments the next time up the bat? Or do you keep doing the same thing over and over? Like I said, these college coaches only have a certain amount of time to work with you and do things with you, that if you're not able to make adjustments on your own, you're no help to them. And so you're not as desirable to them. Doesn't matter if you can hit a big bomb or strike a couple guys out. If you can't make adjustments, they're not going to be looking your way.
But also they can teach, most of them they're confident in their ability to develop a player and teach them fundamentals and teach them how to hit better, pitch better, field better, whatever it might be. But they don't have the time or the training to fix attitudes or effort levels or being responsible. And that is, I don't want to say that they're looking for our players to fail, but they're looking at how they're going to react to that. And that tells them a lot more versus if a guy comes up and hits 3 doubles and 3 at-bats, like you mentioned, if he strikes up the first time, does he make an adjustment and then, hit a fly ball a second time and then hit a single a third time? That was interesting to me that they are looking at how they respond to adversity. Does a pitcher have an error made behind them, and how do they respond to that? Are they yelling at their teammate, or do they suck it up, bear down, and get the next guy to roll over in a ground double play?
Yeah, because these coaches, they want to keep perpetuating the culture they've built at their school, and they don't want some kid to come in and be a cancer for them. That's the quickest way out of a program is to be a cancer. And these coaches, they promote their culture and the way they like it, and they're looking for those guys that's going to keep that culture going. So
with all the information that's out there, you could do a quick Google search, and all this information is there. Why do you think that every time we have these meetings with a whole team of 20 parents, 20 sets of parents, that it's almost like it's the first time they've ever heard any of this?
I'm telling you, there is so much information out there that's almost overwhelming. And to sit down and sift through it and figure out what's going on. You've got different recruiting sites that want you to pay subscription fees, and you got all these other information, people telling you not to use them. Who do you listen to? Do you listen to this coach? Do you listen to this coach? This recruiting site, and why listen to us? But I think the thing that we've done well with a lot of our parents and players is we've tried to explain everything to them and leave it up to them. It's not a matter of you have to do it this way. It's these are the paths for you. Which one is the best fit for you? And we're trying to find the best fit for each player. We're trying to individualize it for each player. And I think that's what's made us successful and the players that play for us successful.
I think, piggybacking off that a little bit, I think that we also check our egos at the door because we're genuinely happy if they were to sign at Division I school or if it's a JUCO. Mm-hmm. Some of the happiest I've been with signings are players that they got exactly what they were after, and we help just facilitate them getting to their goal. And so the thing is, we're, like you mentioned, we're trying to get the right fit for them, and we don't care if it's Division III, Division II, if it's Michigan, if it's North Dakota State, Alaska Anchorage University. We don't care. Yeah. We just want them to make the best decision for them, and kind of taking out a lot of that other stuff of, we're not affiliated with any school, so we're not trying to push them to any school. We're trying to push them to the school that is going to achieve both their baseball and personal
Yeah.
goals.
There's so many players in the transfer portal right now because they didn't take the time to find the best fit. Now, there's circumstances that happen, coaching changes and things like that, but to take that extra time and also to check your own ego that, hey, maybe a D3 school is better for me than trying to chase after this D1 school where I'm not going to play or get playing time or going to barely make the roster, to meet my goals that way. So sometimes it's the own player checking their own goals, or own ego, I should say. And that can be tough for a kid, a 16, 17-year-old kid who's grown up, seeing it on TV and being pushed that you got to be D1 or nothing and things like that, to say, hey, I'm okay going to NIA school and being successful there. I can get a good education there. I can, play some ball there and be successful.
Is that why you call me the dream crusher? Because I'm honest with them and go, hey, listen, your fastball's not quite Michigan level. You probably should look at this other school.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes we have to have that hard conversation, as you know, with some of the parents and players that, we can't have, 500 kids playing for Vanderbilt, like that. So sometimes, you got to find the right level for you to be successful.
The first year we had a decent team, and one of the things that stuck out on that was the polar opposites of the talent level. So we had 20 kids. No, I'm sorry, we had 16 kids from talent level 1 to talent 16. It wasn't a huge difference, but it was definitely a difference. And one of the stories that I liked was our 16th best kid worked really hard, wasn't the most talented, kept doing everything we asked, emailing the coaches, emailing before we would play them, talking with them, asking good questions, emailing them after we played them. And next thing you know, he ends up playing in a decent school at Madonna. Mm-hmm. On the flip side of that, we had a player on that same team that, you and I disagree on this, but I think he was second most talented on the team.
Yeah.
And he got 0 offers. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because he couldn't do things well on the field. It was solely on his attitude. So the kid that was the 16th most talented got an offer. He was the second most talented, and he didn't get an offer. And it was purely on some things we already talked about, how he treated his teammates. He would strike out, slam his bat down, walk back to the dugout, and we could literally look across the other dugout and see the coaches crossing him off their list. And that was very eye-opening to me. The attitude and the effort.
Yeah. It's not like we're the recruiting whisperers. It's a basic plan we follow and we give to the kids. And the ones that have followed our plan have been successful and have received offers. And especially offers to schools that they're really interested in. It's, you can get offers from some schools you're not interested in or not even, care to go to. But our guys that follow our plan and do the things we're asking them to do, and basic things is, we're not asking them to hit 50 home runs in the fall, but just do basic things like communicate to these coaches, do it in a timely manner, ask these questions and things like that. They've got good offers from the schools that they're targeting. So it's not really hard. You just have to have a plan and know the direction you want to go with it.
I've said this before, and I mean it. The kids that take this time and learn this process and do research on the schools, it's a life skill that they can apply to other areas in their life. So being recruited in baseball is not unlike trying to find a job. And when you're out in the workforce, trying to find a new job, finding a new career, networking, reaching out, putting your best foot forward, all of those same attributes and the same methodology that's going in the recruiting process can easily go into other areas of their life. And it'll be interesting to see in a few years how some of these kids progress in their professional careers as well.
Sports can mirror life. And so a lot of these skills that we're teaching them carry right over into looking for a job or dealing with their families and things like that. And like I said, the kids that take it to heart, the kids that do the things we ask them to do, and like I said, we're asking simple things of them. And we're just asking them to put a little effort into it. We're doing some research, writing a few emails, making a few phone calls, and they're getting the things that they want out of life with this.
This episode of Two Average Daves is brought to you by our sponsor, Full Count Glove Relacing. Get your baseball glove back in the game. Don't take your glove to a shoe repair business or expect a nice kid at the sporting goods store to know how to relace it. Have a baseball guy fix your baseball glove. Reach out to Brian Spence at 248-217-3979. And for as little as $20, he'll get your glove back in the game. Visit the Full Count website at full-count-glove-relacing.com.